All right, looks like we're live. Thank you everyone who's in here, checking out the stream right now. Good morning to everybody. If you're on the West Coast like I am, it's early, but I usually get up this early anyways. I'm just not used to talking so early. So I'm glad you guys are back in here. I'm looking forward to having a great day. I woke up to a text message. A buddy of mine said it's CLOV Day. Not sure why, but so I found the only green shirt with the shamrock on it that I had. Hopefully, we get some good luck today. Um, let's see here. So, just going through. I'm going to start with AVXL. Um, if you didn't come on the afternoon stream, someone had pointed out in the morning stream that AVXL was moving. And that was a stock that I've been talking about for a long time with some buddies of mine on a group text. One of them has been invested in it forever and, big believer in it. And it was something that I was actually looking to learn a little bit more about and get involved in. And I kind of missed the boat. If you could see, this was trading at 15 the day before yesterday. And as low as $9 back in May. So, it's now, yesterday, I think it topped out at 22. Um, it's closed around 21. Um, but so yesterday, after we left the stream, the stock was rolling high. I said I was going to kind of hold off. I didn't want to just jump in. But when I saw it bounce off VWAP twice, I did open a tiny position. I also don't have room to really open a position and start following a new stock. But I did open. I think I grabbed 4 calls right here for the $20 strike. Um, Obviously, not a great entry point, as great as it would have been down here, but it ended up taking off, and so um, they're in the money right now. Not entirely sure what I'm going to do with it. I might cut them soon. They expire in July. Um, but I also talked to my buddy Colin, the guy who's kind of like turned me on to AVXL and months ago, and he's been following it. He's pretty knowledgeable about it, and he thinks the stock has a lot more room to run. So I'm going to have him come on at some point today or tomorrow, whenever he has time, really, and kind of explain what they do because I don't really know too much about the company, and typically I won't invest in something unless I at least learn more about it. All I know right now is I know they design drugs that are supposed to help with kind of central nervous diseases, like Alzheimer's, things like that, dementia. Um, so, anyways, so I put this up here because I do have a little tiny position in there now, and I'd like to see what happens with it today. I did see that there's a bunch of analyst upgrades, putting it at 35, 25. So they've lifted these targets on this stock. So I don't think that might see too much pullback. But again, there's a gap there. So we'll see what happens. BNGO announced a new CBO yesterday. Stock, kind of moved a little bit. I'm going to look at it here. Anybody who is on kind of riding BNGO, we got in on this nice pull up. If you got it when I did, I think it was last Friday. We kind of had this positive, came down. It looks like it's really holding support right here. And so I'm expecting it, as I've said in some of my previous videos, to go up and test this like $15 range, probably within the next couple months. And they also, I think the company announced today that they were issuing a bunch of stock to some higher up executives, either stock or options. So that could actually be, potentially good news. They could maybe get this moving today. Let's see here. GameStop, if you've been following, I'm still, have a huge investment in GameStop. I'm still holding, and but I also have some 250 calls that are expiring this week. So I'd love to see us get back above this level before the end of the week. So maybe I could even sell some and exercise some or do something. I just don't want to lose this. This is I bought these a long time ago and they were worth, some ungodly amounts when we were up here, and um, they aren't anymore. So I'm hoping we can really kind of get back. This drop off was brutal. I'm confident that GameStop will be back next week, just with the way that whole T21 cycle's been working. Next week should be a monster week for GameStop again and kind of continue to propel it higher. I also think that this 350 mark, whenever we do pass there, is going to be significant and really kind of like allow this stock to run. It seems to be like where they're suppressing it right now. And I'm hoping that, one, if they announce that they completed their at the money offering of 5 million shares this week, that'll get us back above 250 as investors kind of jump back in. But next week with this T21 cycle, I'm hoping that can like kind of really finally give us that push past 350 that we've been waiting for and allow the stock to maybe, run up and try to test this all-time high. So just waiting and seeing on that one. BNG or not BNGO, sorry, CLOV. So we've been holding support. 2 days trading sideways. We kind of found this support level at 1350 both days, where they haven't been able to drive it lower. And it seems like this 1450 is the range we're consolidating in. That's going to be great for the stock, because just as much as we could run up here, all the way from down here at 750, if we can get some volume, and we have been holding volume. I know volume hasn't been as great as this day, but if you look, the last 3 days have still been significant volume days for CLOV. And as we consolidate and we jump back in, and this thing ends up going up and testing the all-time high, I'm sure we'll see more volume. I also, if you've been following the channel, I think that if as we pass this 1850 mark, kind of like right up in here this week, that's going to push us into another gamma squeeze. And the old gamma squeeze took us to 25. On this day, I think that with all the new options and the open interest that are in there, especially at that $22 strike, if 1850 can push us to 25, 25 will get us past 30, just because of that. Really, just because of that $22 strike, and I'll go over that in a second. But I also want to pull up the 5-minute chart. So yesterday we started to see, we got a drop in the morning, and I would imagine that might be the case moving forward. It's going to get hit heavily right at the open. Kind of a real, market open drop, market open attack. Hopefully they can't get us down to 1350 again, and it goes a little bit shorter. But either way, we rebound off it. And today, or yesterday, we were able to break through that $15 range. And then once we kind of got through, we started our nice run, and they hammered us down at 16. That also kind of makes me feel like 16 maybe is going to be a significant level, which brings me to the options chain. I do want to check that out and kind of see if we can make some sense of that. The 16, if you were on yesterday, maybe you remember the the $15 strike, 23,000 open interest, but somebody had mentioned in the chat puts and how they affect gamma squeezes. So I went in and looked, and there is a significant amount of puts at the $15 strike. So I don't think 15 is going to be as significant. Getting to the $15 mark may be significant in that it'll throw a lot of these into a 0.9 delta, which would be good for us. But I don't think that this strike price is going to be significant in helping us gamma squeeze, just because there's so many puts there to offset it. However, as I've said before, I think once we get upwards of 18, all of this is going to be point 0.9 or above delta, which is going to require a lot of hedging. And it looks like, even this $20 strike looks to even have increased since yesterday. Um, that seems to be right around where we were yesterday, if I'm remembering correctly. If I'm wrong, let me know. But everything else seems pretty loaded up, right? I mean, we have some. If we could remember, if that gamma squeeze could propel us past 30, that's putting. These are kind of insignificant numbers, but they still kind of matter when you look at the grand scheme of things. I mean, there's a ton of open interest here, so and it could not happen, right? I mean, I just want to be honest. The potential is there for it, but in order for it to happen, we need more buying. We need more upwards momentum. We need more retail interest to kind of jump in and push the stock up to that $18 level. If you're already here watching, I'm assuming that you already have your position set, and some people can't afford to add on, or they don't want to add on and diversify, and that's understandable, because they're diversified, and that's understandable too. So we need more outside interest. We need more people to come in. Just holding the stock isn't going to make it gamma squeeze. Just holding the stock isn't going to make it short squeeze. You need new buying pressure to move that stock upwards. Um, so potential absolutely exists for this gamma squeeze, though. But this expires on Friday. So, and I'm not saying if we don't get it by Friday that this whole thing's over with. It's just, this setup for this gamma squeeze would be over if we don't do it by Friday. So, but the short squeeze potential, if we just take a look at the iBorrow desk, I mean, that's not going anywhere, and that's absolutely independent of a gamma squeeze. The gamma squeeze would help it, but we don't need the gamma squeeze. So let me see. This is yesterday. Looks like we were somewhere around 150,000, which means more shares got borrowed. If you remember in the morning stream, I think we looked and there was 1.4 million shares. So now we're down to 200,000, and they've dropped the interest rate. And I know I talked about that a little bit, I think, on Friday, but it's amazing how this interest rate. I don't really understand how this borrow fee works. I understand what it is, but um, again, my interpretation is that the borrow fee is supposed to be associated with how in demand the stock is. I mean, so if you're talking about a stock that there's only 200,000 shares available to borrow, when I can't even get it down that far, but months ago there was millions of shares available to borrow. You would think that this borrow fee would reflect that, and right now it doesn't. So not really sure what's up with that, but this is more along the lines of what GameStop's been sitting at, like, which makes no sense to me, right? There's never any shares available for GameStop. Oh, I'm tripping. I'm sorry. We are looking at GameStop right now. I was gonna say that 9% borrow fee doesn't look right. Um, See, it's early, making mistakes. Here we go. Not much different though, right? So Clove's at 200,000 available too. I knew there was a similarity there, but the borrow fee's still higher. So we're at 7.8%. Um, Let me see. There's my level 2 right there for someone who just asked. Um, all right, so 200,000 available still on Clove, which is still significantly, that, yes, like I said, yesterday we were looking at 1.4 million borrowed. So that means that more stocks were taken out, more than returned. So the shorts haven't covered. Borrow fees still up here above 1%, which is where it was at maybe, about a week and a half ago. And let's see. So Ortex data, let me just make sure we're looking at Clove right now and not something else. Uh, so now we're looking at this kind of updated to where it's last week, I think, or May 28th. But either way, still high numbers. 41% reported short interest, 43% estimated percent of free float. 53 million. I think yesterday we had dropped to 51 or 51.9 or something. So more shares on loan. Cost to borrow's gone down, but that actually makes sense, right? I mean, we're seeing the fee drop a little bit here. but that's still a higher number for that cost to borrow, and 100% utilization. My understanding of that number is that that means that of all of the the shares that are out on loan, these 53 million shares, they're getting 100% utilized. So they are getting shorted into the market. And so again, this stock has huge short squeeze potential. I think I brought it up yesterday, but I think on Friday, Fintel CEO did a video saying that he thought it was, had the highest potential to short squeeze based on their data. And the dude from Ortex, actually, if you follow him on Twitter, he actually kind of lumped CLOV in with AMC and GME in terms of short squeeze potential, saying like this was the big three. These were the three that had the best opportunity to. So, I think other people kind of, piling on and giving information like that is only good for, you know, bringing more buyers in, right? And bringing more exposure to this stock, because that's kind of what we need. We need to get more people bought in and buying to raise this price. Not only for the gamma squeeze to kick off this week, but even if it didn't and we move into next week and the week after that, I mean, the only thing that's going to cause shorts to cover is going to be the price driving higher. Eventually they all have to cover, but they could wait just as long too and just let this stock drop back down. So we do need to get some more momentum and get this price driving higher. If you're joining a little late, I do think we do have momentum. This drop off here hasn't deterred my feelings at all. If anything, these 2 days holding support here with the same 1350 and kind of consolidating around 1450 just shows me that this stock is getting ready for another run. I mean, this is consolidation. We really just need to see, maybe a breakout above this $16 range that we haven't been able to get above, and I could see more retail interest kind of piling into the stock. Volume still higher than average for CLOV. So we're seeing bigger volume days every day, and I think we're ready to blow. I really do. It's just a matter of I think we need to get past some of these key resistance levels, which will get a lot of new retail investment in. A lot of times retail traders, they might have ran this up and sold, and made a lot of money, or even swing traders, and now they're watching this consolidation period heavily, and they're waiting to see that the momentum is ready to take off, and then we'll see everybody pile back in again, which is what, even as long-term holders, is what we want. As people that are waiting on a gamma squeeze to potentially happen, that's absolutely what we want. And I really think that this gamma squeeze setup can propel us into a point where shorts are going to have to cover, where we're going to end up pushing that stock so high that people are going to be forced to get out. But that's something, the gamma squeeze at least would have to happen this week, because that's where the setup's at. So, all right, we got 10 minutes before market open. Let's just take a look. Good morning. Good morning to you too. Thank you for coming in. You know what I just noticed? Let's see if I can fix this. When I put the comments up on the screen, they are behind that financial advice disclaimer on. Let's see if I can rearrange those. There we go. That's what I was looking for. All right. So good morning. Thank you for joining again. It's still doing it. How do I fix this? There we go. All right. I think that'll do it now. Here we go. Game time. Absolutely. Let's see CLOV hit 60 this week. That we're gonna need that gamma squeeze to do it, but I think it can be done. Let's go. Good morning. Thanks for joining every day. I appreciate it. How do you use? Oh, sorry. I thought you would ask, can I put level 2 up? So, how do you use level 2? So basically, when you're looking at this level 2 data, let me see if I can fix doing some other stuff on my computer yesterday, and I kind of messed up on my. There we go. All right. So level 2 basically shows buy and sell orders that are out there, in the market waiting for. They're all limit orders, right? So a market order is when you just go in and press buy and you'll take whatever price you can get. A limit order is when people put in what they want to sell for or buy for at a given price. So usually right around the money, right? Like right now, the bid ask is about 1442 to 1445. So you'll see more orders there, but as you scroll down, you can kind of see like, okay, at the $15 mark, we have, a sell order of 3,000. At the 1522 mark, we have a sell order of 9,500. So as you go through and look at these, at the $16 mark, we have a sell order of 21,809. Also with another 2,000 at 1599 and another 2,000 at 1602. So these are all, kind of significant numbers there that are being listed for sale. They could be new short positions, because shorting is essentially selling the stock, being put up there as a sell wall that we have to then buy through to move past it. So in terms of on the sell side, they kind of should give you an idea of what the resistance is going to be, because in order for the stock to pass those numbers, those shares need to be bought up. And then on the buy side, as you go through and look, it can give you an idea of where support may be found at. So, as we go in and look, 1350 has been a significant number the last couple of days, and sure enough, at 1350, there's a 20,000 share order sitting there. So, meaning if we fall down to 1350, more than 20,000 shares are going to have to be sold through there before we could drop below that. So we do have a buy wall set up at 1350. Hope that answered the question. Waiting to add on a little. I think you're going to be able to. I don't think we're going to fall below 1350 again. I think this stock hasn't seen. It's never going to see below $13. Again, that's just my opinion. But being where we're at right now, 1438. And let me just check, because I know trading view isn't always correct in pre-market, but yeah, it looks like we're trading at around there. We're starting to see this little drop off. I would imagine that we maybe go down and touch that 1350 right at the open again. As they're probably going to come out and attack this stock and try to drive it lower. But if I'm wrong, you might miss your opportunity to jump in, right? So, and I'm not always right, so I could be wrong. Good morning. Nailed it. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but thank you. Hopefully the gamma squeeze. Let's get it. So, that's kind of, I just went through the comments. If you're new on here, if this is your first time watching, hit the subscribe button and you'll get notified, when I go on live. Every day, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. on the West Coast. I'm for sure going to be in here. And typically, yeah, I'm really heavy into CLOV right now. I'm really heavy into GameStop. Those are my two big plays. But, I do kind of like to keep these other windows up. BNGO is a play that I just established a new position into last week, that I'm expecting big things. And I decided to throw the fourth window back up here, AVXL. Really because I got serious FOMO about this. I really do. I opened a very tiny position yesterday when it dropped down to 1850 the second time. And I'm up right now on it, but it's crumbs compared to like what I've got kind of in these two, and then BNGO I kind of have a smaller position in too, but this one is really tiny. I just wanted to get a piece of it, but man, the FOMO is real. Like I mentioned before, I'm on a couple group texts with friends and we're always talking stocks, and I have a buddy who's like big into AVXL, been in for the longest time, and me and him have been talking about this for a long time, and this stock has been on an upward trend, and he's been telling me how he thinks that it's going to keep going. And I almost made a video about this last week, like, hey, I think this is an entry point time. I never bought any. And most of the reason why I didn't was because I'm tied up in other stocks, you know. But I also, which kind of makes me feel like moving forward, even if I am not going to invest in something, if I find an opportunity, maybe I'll still put a video out there and present the opportunity to everybody else and just say, look, I'm not getting in this right now because my capital's tied up in other places, but I see this as an opportunity because, this was, I mean, it's up huge over the last probably 3 or 4 days. And I still, if you joined us in the afternoon yesterday, I had mentioned that my buddy Colin, who's really big on AVXL, I'm going to try to get him on here one day while we're streaming, and maybe he can explain to everybody because I don't really, a lot of this healthcare stuff, I need it to be really broken down and explained to me because it's not something that I'm too knowledgeable in at all. Good morning. Thank you for joining. Level 2 I'm looking at doesn't have that 1350 order. I show 5200 at 1319 and then a bunch in the $10 range. So I should say this too. A lot of level 2 data is different and it depends where you're at in how they report it. So yeah, I don't see anything at the 30. I see 5400 at 1308. So this is one exchange. I think is the way I'm looking at it too, the ARCA exchange. And then if you notice, they just put their most current Nasdaq orders, or whatever orders are coming in, right here. This is the Charles Schwab level 2, and I've also noticed like Thinkorswim, which is my favorite platform to use. Um, what they do is they only show you the most or the closest bid on each exchange. So when you look at Thinkorswim's level 2, which isn't this one, and maybe one day I'll buy some more RAM for my computer so I can run Thinkorswim during the stream because I really like Thinkorswim, but really I just need to get some more memory in my computer before I can do it. So the way that Thinkorswim does it is they show you all the different exchanges and just the closest bid. So you wouldn't even see, like a lot of times on Thinkorswim when you're looking at level 2, I wouldn't even see some of these other orders. Like if it was an order that was way out there, like at 1644, this, maybe this 14,000 shares at $17 wouldn't even show up on mine. Okay, so yeah, so if you are on the Thinkorswim one, the TDA phone app, I think that TD Ameritrade just reports it a little differently. And I don't know that for fact, but what I've noticed on that TD Ameritrade app is like it almost shows you um, the different exchanges and the closest bid for those exchanges. And what I mean by that is, if the closest bid right now at $17 mark is coming off the ARCA, it'll give you like maybe the closest bid on the NYS exchange, and then the closest bid on the Nasdaq exchange, and so that's all you're seeing on their level 2. That's my one complaint about the Thinkorswim software. And hopefully they fix that. It looks like we just opened. Because I love Thinkorswim, and I don't even mind it being slow. I love it. Oh, we are dropping, so let's see. Like I said, I think we're gonna get. I think we're gonna get hit hard right now, but I think we're gonna hold that 1350, and that could even be big in terms of if we can hold this 1350 for a third day in a row. That might be the consolidation needed to get other people to come pile back in this stock. Our traders that are kind of looking at this from the outside, waiting to see if it's time to jump back in. So let's kind of see what happens. Looking around the market, it looks like GameStop's just kind of sitting flat right now. BNGO. Oh, pull up the SPY. So it looks like the S&P 500, had a monster day yesterday, closing right at the end of the day at 42 or 425. and it looks like it's got a red candle going down. So that could, kind of drag everything down. Um, but actually, the only stock, I mean, I'm not wide. I'm only have 12 stocks over here, but it looks like CLNE, um, which I just added to my little watch chart yesterday because someone had mentioned it in the chat. CLNE is taking a big tank right now with the SPY, and it's still the first 5 minute candle. So I say tank, but it could bounce back in the next minute. Usually you see the most volume here in this first 5 minutes, and that's where you'll see your biggest swings. So even when you do see, like I just looked over and saw a huge red candle on that CLNE, and I mean it could bounce back just as fast as it dropped. I don't have a position in that. I added it up there because someone had kind of called it out yesterday in the chat, and I wanted to keep an eye on it. And I have been seeing a lot of buzz on that stock, just on the subreddits and everything. Um, all right, so let's see what we got here. But just looking around the markets, or at least the ones that I'm watching, might be too early to tell. If you're new to this stream, I've been kind of tracking a lot of the meme stocks on my other monitor, only because about, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago, I kind of noticed that CLOV, must have been 2, 3 weeks ago, that CLOV started tracking with a lot of the memes. So on some days, CLOV will see very similar price action to GameStop, um, or CLOV will see similar price action to AMC, or there was one day where before I started doing the live stream where we saw, like, it was the day AMC ran up to like 73. Um, as soon as it went down and dropped, in the next 5 minute candle, we saw GameStop take off. And then in the next 5 minute candle, CLOV took off. That was the very first day that I kind of noticed. Um, and on that day, I actually was invested in CLOV, GameStop, and AMC. AMC's a stock that I've been kind of like jumping in and out of, more so just day trading, or trading options on. But right now, I don't have a position in it. I'm just kind of looking at it to kind of gauge maybe where the market is, and by market I mean the market of these heavily shorted stocks. They some days they do track together. Looks like the S&P 500 is still heading downwards and starting to drag some other stocks with it. Like if we kind of zoom out here, looks like BNGO is kind of taking a hit with it. Um, The only green candle I see right now is AMC actually on all these stocks. So we'll see what happens. Um, and I've mentioned this before too. Don't get too excited about these opening candles. I mean, anything could happen, right? So you can see it, and look how fast it changes. We just went back to green on CLOV. So, this is where the most volume is. This is where you're going to see, kind of the biggest spread in candle size, and that's really what we're doing is kind of establishing an opening range, a top and a bottom for the day. And then now once we establish that opening range, as we start trading inside of there, now we've established breakout points, right? Like whatever that top candle was for the day. So like right now, if we were to close this second candle anywhere between here and here, I would say actually inside the actual candle. So if we close right now anywhere in here, this second candle, this would be our true like range for the day for a breakout. 1445 for a breakdown, 1476 for a break upwards. But we'll have to see how it goes. I'm just talking about like what day traders typically would look at on when they would start jumping into a new stock. Let's see. DD was illuminated. Okay, so you're talking about the that Gamma Squeeze one. Yeah, that actually drove I think a lot of people to this YouTube channel too. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate the support. That was the first time. I mean, I've been coming on and making videos for a while now. And I started live streaming last Monday. but I had never like posted, like actually put all my thoughts on paper and posted it like that. And I'll try to do it some more, but sometimes, and I know maybe it's the wrong way of thinking, but like sometimes if I'm looking through the subreddit and it's like someone else is already covering the topic, then I don't want to, it's like I'd rather just upvote theirs than rewrite something totally different. But I've had other people tell me, nah, just write something because, the more DD that's out there, the better. So I might try to put something new out there maybe after today, especially if it relates to this gamma squeeze, maybe do a follow up on it. As long as we're still in the range of getting to it, right? And I think we need to kind of get above 15. If the gamma squeeze doesn't happen today, I would like to see us above 15 by the end of the day. Just to show that we're kind of moving upwards and, gaining, and that the consolidation is over and that we can close above that $15 mark. And then I think we'd still be in a good setup for a gamma squeeze tomorrow. However, this thing can absolutely still happen today. I mean, I'm not losing hope by any means. I'm just saying, thinking ahead, that's what I'd like to see. Let's see here. AMC at 60. Yeah, so it looks like kind of the same thing. If you are following AMC, it kind of had a green candle similarly, but it touched 60 right here at the top. And now same thing, that's going to be your breakout range. If this second candle kind of closes in here, even on AMC, now you'd be looking for 60 for a breakout if you are following AMC as well. Odd how many near millionaires spend their day on Reddit. Uh, yeah, hey, you'd be shocked too. Some of these people have millions of dollars in their accounts. And you see some people post their gains and stuff, and it's like, man, um, I'm waiting for some days like that. But you know what? At the same time, too, I think it's always important to take profits, right? So, um, I don't think I'll ever have, $1 million just sitting in a trading account ready to like throw into stocks and stuff. I'm not saying I'm not going to make $1 million doing this, but what I'm saying is I don't think I'll keep it in there. I've kind of learned the hard way over time that you have to take profits. I mean, it's easy to get into the mindset that like if I start with, $2,000 and I turn it into 30, now I could turn, or let's just say 20 to make it easier. I turn 2,000 into 20. Now I'm going to turn 20,000 into 200. And then I'm going to turn 200,000 into 2 million. Like it's easy to get into that mindset and the psychology of it, but I think you got to take profits along the way. You just have to, otherwise you can get completely wiped out. So and maybe if you are starting smaller, like at a 2,000, 5,000, or really anything under 25, maybe don't take profits until you can get above 25. And I say 25 because when you get above 25, most brokers will offer you more margin, and now you don't have to worry about the pattern day trade rule, right? So, but once you get above the 25 mark, if I could give anybody any sort of advice, not necessarily for CLOV or any of these other stocks, but just for the future, always take profits. And what I mean by that is, like, don't just, I'm not saying sell your stock for a profit. I'm saying, you know, like transfer some of that money back into your bank account. So what I was in the habit of doing before kind of my long-term position on GameStop and now my long-term position on CLOV, because I was doing more trading, is at the end of every week, whatever profit I made for the week, half of that I'm transferring back to my bank account. And the reason was doing that was because, one, I'm still growing my trading account, right? Um, so, half of that profit that I made that week is staying there to grow my trading account so that I can keep playing with bigger money. But that other half that you're putting away, one, if you are making money and you're doing a good job, you deserve to be able to go use that money to go pay off your bills and buy yourself something nice, or pay, double up on your house payment that week, or use it for a down payment on a house, or whatever you need to do with it. But by keeping it all in the market, you're really making yourself susceptible to, you know, losing it all, right? I mean, that's the reality of this is the market can crash tomorrow, and if you have all your money sitting in there, and that's part of it. I mean, everyone's going to have their money in during a market crash, and but if you take profits along the way, now you have your money sitting in a separate bank account when the market does go on a downturn and does turn into a bear market. Now you have dry powder sitting in your bank account that you haven't touched and you haven't been tempted, you know, to buy a couple extra shares with that you can turn around and really throw back into something. So yeah, I don't know where that came from, but oh, I think the millionaire comment, but that would be my advice. You know, it's just always pay yourself, always take profits. If you're on a good run, don't get so caught up in the, you know, oh well, now I could take this and turn it into this, and I could take this and turn it into this, because yeah, you know, if you hit everything properly, sure, you know, you could really amplify your gains, but you know, and the other thing I'll say is um, you know, YOLOing is dangerous. By YOLOing, I mean like throwing everything you have into one stock. You know, shares isn't as dangerous. So if you're doing it with shares, like if you're 100% invested in CLOV or 100% invested in GME, which I know a lot of people are, that's not nearly as dangerous with shares because, you know, with shares, even if a stock was to drop down tremendously, um, you know, even get cut in half, you still have half your money. Well, more so what I'm speaking of is throwing all your money into options. You know, like I know some people. I've seen posts on Reddit where you know someone goes in and oh you know gamma squeeze this week and throws everything in on it, and then when that doesn't happen, you just blew your account up. So um, you know, just different things I've either learned the hard way myself or learned by watching other people do it, or friends of mine do stuff. You know, I started trading options 3 years ago, um, and I learned a lot of stuff the hard way. I actually blew up my account once, once or twice. Um, One time I had to take a bunch of money out of my account to do some work on my house, and um, what I had left in my account was just options because I sold the stock so that I could, you know, take that money out. And what I had left was just the options plays. And then the market went on a downturn right before COVID, and so I mean those got wiped out. And then that cash I took out, I had to use for some stuff around the house. So I had to start from scratch, you know. But it was kind of a good time to start from scratch, anyways, at the bottom, right? So I was able to build back up. But always pay yourself. Always pay yourself. Always have a plan. Want a banana? Yeah, I want to get. I want. we need to get. We need to get them today, right? Um, Important to be emotionless while trading. Absolutely. You know, that's one thing that is probably the hardest. You know, I actually read a book just on trading psychology. It's a great book too. You know, I should probably make a video one day just going over like the different books that I've read and recommending some of them, maybe even putting some links to them because I've read some great ones and I've read some that I felt like were a waste of time. Um, but emotions in trading is probably the hardest. One, there's the greed factor, where you know you always want more. You know, and a lot of times that prevents you from making the right decisions on when to sell, when to get out of a trade, when to cut your losses. But it's the greed, right? And then people also emotionally get tied to stocks. You know, where everything's telling you that you know this is a bad play, this isn't going to work out, but you were so convicted in it that you wanted to keep going. That's the worst one. And I think I'm you know beyond that years ago. You know, but you know the hardest one's greed. Um, Game plan is important. Some stocks, some options with a specific percent of the portfolio. Yeah, you know, I read an article on Reddit. I think I might have even saved it, but this was a long time ago, so I don't even know if it's still there. But this guy did an amazing job of basically explaining that, you know, if you're gonna play with options, um, I think his thing was like no more than 25% of your account should be options, and I think that even that's high. Um, you know, because options can just disappear on you. You know, you get in the middle of a rough patch. You know, maybe the market goes on a little downturn even for 2 weeks in the middle of a bull run. That could make your options worth nothing. So yeah, and 25% is even high. But this dude's thing was like 20, if I can remember correctly. His strategy was like 20, no more than 25% of your account, and um, you know, always pick options that are at least 3 months out. And there was some other stuff in there too, but that was like the meat of it. Like what I remember is give yourself time and give yourself, you know, uh, only 25% of your account to play with, you know, and always have cash on hand. You know, that way you can always, you're not stuck, right? Because if for those of you that kind of have been doing options or understand how it works, sometimes you get stuck. Like, you know, you're in a position where it's like, man, I got to roll this out, but if I don't have cash, I can't roll it out. So, you know, always leave some cash on hand too. Um, when you buy a call and pay the premium is the only possible loss. Yes. So, you know, and that's one way of looking at it too. And that's why a lot of the bets that I make, you know, and I call them bets, like when I know that there's a high risk of losing, but also high opportunity for reward, I'd much rather do it with options because, you know, I'm just, in order to make the amount of money that you can, but you could put down less, right? So I know I could put, you know, put out maybe 100 in premium, and the most I could lose is $100, right? Whereas if I wanted to buy 100 stocks, it might cost me $2,000. So it gives you the price action of, you know, 100 stocks, but you can lose 100%, and that's why stocks are always safer. You're not going to make as much, but you're not going to lose as much. You know, if I want 100 shares right now of CLOV, it's going to cost me $1,450, right? Um, but if CLOV goes down to $10, I still have $1,000. You know, it's still worth 1,000. So I'm still sitting there and I still have it. But you know, with options, you know, right now a call on CLOV would be, let's just say, at the money, and this is on because we wouldn't even be buying something that expires that quick. Let's say at the money for a couple months out. Actually, that's not even that bad. Wow. Um, Oh, I'm looking at the Delta right now. Wow. Let me move this over. I had moved the Delta over. I was like, man, that's cheap. All right, let's see. Last trade. There we go. Man, I'm out of it today and making a lot of mistakes. All right, here we go. So let's say if we wanted to go a couple months out on CLOV, and get in at the $15 strike, which is right around where we're at, you'd be paying $360. Um, you know, to get the price now, but so that's the most you can lose. You can't lose more than 360. But if this thing goes back down to like $12, $11, $10, you're going to lose 100% of that, right? Whereas if you had the stock at, you know, $1,450 investment, it's costing you more to get in to get those 100 shares. But if it goes down, you're still going to retain a major portion of your investment. All right, so it looks like we might be looking for a breakout here. So remember, this is our opening range, is this 1476. We're starting to push up. If we can close above that, that would probably, you know, bring in a lot more volume, a lot of, you know, traders and people that may be looking to day trade this stock. Um, and then again, maybe that could help push us above the 15, and we could start trading above the 15. And I think if we get up there, maybe we'll be seeing some people that were looking for a good entry point for our next run. So it looks like, just take a look around the market now that things have been established. Looks like the S&P 500 is still kind of moving downwards today. AVXL took a kind of a hit back to yesterday, right? Bet you that's not good for my options that I bought yesterday at 1850. So this is right around the price that I actually bought into AVXL yesterday. So, I mean, I would say right now, I think that this stock has potential to keep moving. Let's go. Let's get through 15 bucks. We want to close above here, though. I mean, just getting this nice wick. If we end up getting pushed back down and we can't close the 5-minute candle, you know, we might see it kind of like down here. You see how this one went down, and then, you know, so we want to close above 15 or above, at least above this to get us in this bullish trend. And then I think we can keep running. But to close above 15 would be even better. If I only had an hour to chop down a tree, I would spend the first 45 minutes sharpening my axe. Yeah, reading. I read a lot. You know, a ton. I read a ton. I enjoy reading, but then I also learn hands-on too. So I like to, you know, I'm always buying books. My kids are into, or my older son's into reading. So a lot of times I'll take him even to like Barnes and Noble, let him pick something out, and I'll go browse around and try to find stuff. Um, you know, whether it be on the markets or, you know, just the economy or whatever, and just kind of do as much reading as I can. And then if it has to do with stocks and sometimes different strategies, I just like to jump in and get hands on and do it. And sometimes it's relaxing to read a book too. You know, people spend so much time uh, staring at their phones these days or staring at a computer. You know, I mean, you could learn just as much. Um, you know, watching someone else on YouTube, like I do that a lot too. Um, you know, there's a lot of great videos. Sometimes I'm trying to figure out, just the other day, I was trying to figure out how to do something with my truck, and I went on YouTube and I could find it right away. So the information's out there. But to me, reading's relaxing too. Sometimes it's fun to just grab a book and just go outside and relax. Let's see. Estimated current short interest is 52 million right now. Yeah, we had pulled the Ortex up earlier. If you came on late, we had I'll pull it up real quick too, just for as we're watching us kind of try to hold this candle, but I know that might be small for you guys. But it looks like reported short interest 41, estimated short interest of free float 43. Oh, you're saying it's at 52 million. Oh, okay, yeah, right here. Today, shares on loan is actually showing up at 53 million. Unless that updated, and 100% utilization. So these are all numbers that really indicate, you know, that we are absolutely um, primed for a short squeeze. But I had, you know, mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show too. In order to get the short squeeze, we need more buying. We need more people other than us to move the stock. And I say that because I'm assuming us being we already hold the stock. We're already in. We already have our position established. So we need new people to come in and push this price a little bit higher, right? And then that's what's going to kick off a gamma squeeze, hopefully, and that's what will get us to the short squeeze at territory where shorts need to cover and the price moves even higher. Um, here. So if you're so we closed above 15, and yeah, now it looks like maybe we're ready to run. So significant level, just real quick, 16 would probably be our significant breakout level today. You know, that was our where we found the most resistance yesterday. right? So hopefully, if we can get to 16 and blow past it, we might be looking at getting this gamma squeeze kicked off today. Um, but obviously, and I've mentioned before, we need to get past 18. I feel like for that to happen. Um, but we're definitely moving in the right direction right now. Definitely looking like maybe we're going to have a positive day, which I'm excited about. What's going on here? So GameStop, kind of similar to what yesterday it held this 220 support level, and it looks like maybe it's going to touch it again. Um, kind of like how CLOV was holding that 14 or that 1350. So um, I'm really hoping GameStop turns around for me. Those 250 calls are starting to piss me off. My largest positions are in CLOV. Short term, long term doesn't matter to me. I feel this is a great stock either way. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I don't know if anyone got a chance to check out that video that I made in between shows yesterday. But basically, kind of saying that, like, gamma squeeze potential, yes. Short squeeze potential, yes. But the reason I made that video yesterday was to show that this is a long term investment and this is a buy right now at $15. This, you know what I mean? So if you haven't checked it out, or maybe even if you want to share that video with a friend who doesn't believe you, or that you're trying to convince, because for me too, one of the greatest things about being in CLOV for a short squeeze and a gamma squeeze is the long term potential of the stock, right? So that if the gamma squeeze doesn't happen and the short squeeze doesn't happen, you're still in a stock that has this amazing potential in this, that's undervalued right now and is going to grow your money regardless of those two squeezes. So that's why I like CLOV. That's why I like this potential of this gamma squeezes. We can lure more people in and get more people to come in and join this without fear of being a bag holder. If you buy a CLOV right now, you are not holding the bag at 15 because this stock has a lot of room to run still. Absolutely, CLOV is a buy now. I believe so. That's my non-financial advice. If you're new to the stream, um, hit the subscribe button. I'm gonna be doing this every day from 6 to 8 on the West Coast. So that's a half hour before the market opens to an hour and a half into the market, and then I try to come back on in the afternoons from 12 to 1. So if you subscribe, turn on your notifications, and you'll get notified when I do come on, and that way you can jump on with us. Um, you know, I just want to have fun. If you have other comments, if you think I'm wrong about something, or maybe that I'm even missing something, throw it in the chat. Or if you have questions, throw it in the chat. And if I can't answer it, maybe someone else in the chat can. That's what this is all about. I'm no expert either, but I'm just trying to share what little knowledge I might have, and I'm still learning from other people as well, and learning from my own mistakes. But it's just a place to kind of watch our stocks and talk stocks while we're doing it. So I was saying earlier, AVXL, that was actually the point that I got in yesterday was around 1850. And this thing, I don't know, it won't let me zoom in more, but this range is ridiculous. I mean, that's a dollar movement right there. We might see this stock run up some more. Looks like it kind of dipped, and I'm interested to see if this runs past 22. But like I said, I don't know a lot about AVXL, but I have a buddy who's been telling me a lot about it, and he feels really bullish about it. And so um, maybe we could even get him on here to talk to us about it and see why it is this stock is running and if it really truly does have more room to run. But he believes it does. I asked him last night. I said, so you're saying I shouldn't cash out my calls because I bought those calls at 1850, and it was trading at 2150, and he was like, no, I think it's going to keep moving. So I told him he's got to come on here and explain to everybody why. But I believe him. He's really knowledgeable on this stuff. Like I said, he's been following AVXL for a long time. He's also the guy that turned me on to BNGO. So I just love to pick his brain on the stuff that I don't understand as deeply as he does. Looks like we're looking to keep this going, you know, maybe keep this ladder movement. Tuesday was big for us last week. Maybe Tuesday could be big again. So it looks like BlackBerry's on a little bit of a run. I mean, all these stocks are down from yesterday's highs, I should say. But BlackBerry is, you know, kind of going. What else? S&P still moving downwards. Um, Looks like Wish is kind of falling off today, or not Wish. I'm looking at CLNE. I thought that was Wish. I don't have Wish pulled up. I know that's another popular one right now. Also, if you're just joining us, you know, I do check on other stocks and try to follow other stocks, you know, and keep them up to the side. But these aren't stocks that I necessarily have positions in. Right now, my two largest positions are in CLOV and GameStop. I opened up a new position on BNGO last week, and I kind of FOMO'd into AVXL with a very tiny position yesterday, just to jump in on the ride. But from what I'm hearing, AVXL might be more of a long-term play. I don't have the capital to do it right now because I'm tied with these others. That's why we need these other, we need CLOV to squeeze, right? So 1530, let me take a look at the level 2 and just see. You know, I remember at the end of last week, our big resistance levels was kind of like every 50 cents, you know, 50-cent increments. I don't really see that on the level 2 right now. Um, in terms of major resistance, it looks like the $16 mark, you know, and even that's not too major, 20,000 shares, but that's the biggest sell order I see right now. And then another big one at 17. So it's probably going to be the dollar marks, you know, and then 18. Let's see here. Check on my own positions. All right, not bad. Okay. Let's see. Let me check the chat. 1530. Yeah. So BNGO. Anyone who's been following it, I think yesterday we had a huge breakout, but that was the level that we kind of bounced off, was this 775, 780. And it looks like today we're bouncing off this kind of 780 range. So, you know, hopefully we can kind of find a little bottom right there and continue upward. I mean, the stock is up, I think, 0.5% on the day. Looks like GameStop's down 2% or 1.5%. AVXL is down 7%. And right now, CLOV, we're looking at what, a 5% gain on the day so far. So still early though, very early. You know, usually in this opening kind of hours where you kind of, you know, get a sense of a stock's range, what direction they're going to trade in, maybe, you know, where our bottoms are, which I think maybe BNGO hopefully kind of doubles off this and then continues to run up. But right now, close the one, right? We want to keep this thing going higher. Let's see here. Yeah, right on. The Celtic shirt. I threw my Celtic shirt on with you. Yeah. So I was like I said, if you got on a little late, a buddy of mine texted this morning. He said, "Hey, it's CLOV Day. You know, like today's the day." So, I went in my closet and I actually have the Celtics shirt because, I grew up, obviously in the Bay Area, loving the Warriors, but growing up in the 80s, the Celtics and the Bulls as a kid, those were two teams that I loved to watch. So when my son played on, in rec league basketball, every 3 weeks or 3 months, you change teams. But when he played on the Celtics, I went and bought a Celtics shirt to go support. And then when he played on the Bulls, I went and bought a Bulls shirt. I didn't do the same thing when he played on some of the other teams, but when the years that he played on the Celtics and Bulls, so I actually do own a Celtics shirt and a Bulls shirt, even though I'm a Warriors fan. But I grew up liking them. So, and the more important part, I guess, what we're talking about right now is the reason I put it on. One, it's green. Two, it's got the little, the little clover on it. So, threw it on for good luck. Absolutely. Um, 35,000 open interest on CLOV 22 strike. Yeah, we went over that a little bit earlier, and I'll actually pull it up again. And this is the significance, I think, of these numbers that we're seeing, right? So, right now, I think as we hold above 15, obviously some of I would say $10 and below become more hedged. But as we push past 15 and get to, am I still on close? Oh, I'm looking at August right now. I've been doing this all day, looking at the wrong numbers and charts and stuff. I need to start drinking more coffee before we get in here. So, as we get past this 15 mark and hold above there, it's getting like all of these older ones. One, it's maintaining that they stay within this point 0.9 range, but it'll continue to get like these big numbers here to get hedged. The $15 strike I don't think is as significant as a strike because there's 19,000 puts to offset it. But that's probably one of the biggest strike prices that has the offsetting puts. But the dollar amount of 15 is very significant because it's what's keeping all of these in the money, right? Now, as we can push up and pass $18, um, you know, that's going to put a lot of this stuff in the point 0.9 delta range and probably start off that gamma squeeze that we saw last week that pushes us to 25. And as you're mentioning in the chat, absolutely. Once we get to 25, not only are we putting these 35,000 contracts, which essentially is 3.5 million shares, in the money, we are also going to extend our gamma squeeze as we roll past this $20 strike, this $19 strike, and eventually throw this $18 strike deep into the money. So that's why, my current, like what I think is truly going to kick off this gamma squeeze is probably like somewhere around the 1850 range. If we can get there, we'll see a very similar gamma squeeze to what happened last Tuesday, but it will not stop at $25 this time because you're going to have these two big numbers: 26,000 open interest at $20, 35,000 open interest at $22, and that's just going to keep this thing ripping. Probably, I know I've been saying rip past 30, but at this point, I mean, 30's even got some more on there now. I would say, if that was to happen, we'll probably blow out the chain and end up seeing, where we hit 43. And as I mentioned earlier, um, or even in my post that I put on Reddit or anything, once we get this gamma squeeze kicked off and we blow the option chain out, that may get us into short squeeze territory, right? Like into that territory where now these shorts are well underwater. I saw some interesting posts that some other people made that kind of predicted that I think a lot of the shorts, um, see, and this is now the opposite effect of the option chain when you see these big drops. Yeah, there's probably people selling and taking profit off this nice rip, but the lower the price goes, the same way I'm talking about options needing to be hedged, they also can be unhedged, right? And so those same algorithms are going to dump shares. And that's why we need to sustain buying pressure. Just going on this nice little run and ripping upwards, but as soon as people start taking profits, as they sell, they're driving the price down and allowing the option chain to continue to drive to dump stock as well. And that's when you see those kind of like violent downward moves and violent upward moves. To me, that's a lot that has to do with the option chain. So hopefully we can maybe hold this VWAP, and that would be cool to kind of establish a new base. The last couple days we've been holding 1350. If we could find anywhere in the 14s to kind of hold today to bounce off of, I think that'll give us a better chance of getting back up here to retest this 1550, and then hopefully surpass the $16 resistance we saw yesterday. Um, Currently holding BB, Wish, and CLOV. Yeah, and I know you've been on here. You've heard me talking. So I don't have Wish pulled up, and I haven't been following Wish at all. But I think BlackBerry is a great stock that I see as also having long term potential. But you can only be invested in so many, and I have mine. But I wish you the best of luck on those. You know, and BlackBerry's a company I keep saying it that I believe in. I think long term it's going to be it's going to have a turnaround. The company, once people kind of see them as not being just the people who make those cell phones, from back in the day. Been a good day, yeah. No, I don't know where Wish is at right now, but I'm assuming that one's probably taking off then too. AMC 61. Let's see. So okay. Yeah, so I had said earlier 60 was going to kind of be the AMC breakout, and it looks like it got above it. And now that you mention it, I'm looking over here. This is probably good for CLOV. Not good, but just to know that CLOV actually is tracking. It looks like with, and I'll just pull this up here so you guys could see more of what I'm talking about. But if you look at AMC and BlackBerry, both of these stocks kind of, I guess it looks a little different now because AMC is getting ready to take back off. But they, just like CLOV, they both want to win on this run over the last like 20 minutes, and then they were both, in a downward trend. Like AMC was red and red, but it looks like it's turning around. And BlackBerry, same thing, nice run over the last 20 minutes, and then two reds. BlackBerry's looking to hold VWAP. It looks like we fell below, but that we haven't closed below, so we might be able to pop back. But sometimes I like to pay attention to these stocks because just like how AMC just turned it around and is looking for all-time highs, if they continue to, then I could see us maybe, turning around too. I don't understand why it's like this, but it just is. These stocks seem to track together, and then some of them run independently of each other. Like there's been days where GME and AMC have like 100% looked identical, but it looks like GameStop recently has kind of been on its own path. I haven't really seen it tracking with the other memes too much. It does look like AMC is taking off right now, though. It just broke through that 62, and it looks like it's trying to break through 63 now. BNGO, on the other hand, again, just to kind of show you, how sometimes these stocks look similar. BNGO looks to be following the SPY. This is basically an indication of kind of like, I like to watch the S&P 500 to kind of see, what happens, what's happening with the market, and you can see kind of, BNGO looks to be doing the same thing as the market's going down. A lot of stocks will track with it and follow. And that could even be what we're seeing with AVXL. Usually the non-meme stocks, and I'm talking like anything like an Apple or whatever it may be, Facebook, all those type of stocks, they'll do similar to what the SPY does. And AVXL and BNGO, I don't really consider to have been tracking the memes like CLOV recently started doing. Significant money in CLOV. Yeah, me too. Last Tuesday, my holdings in CLOV, I think almost surpassed GME. Just because we were up so high. I have. Let me see. I got a question here. I have 35 shares of CLOV at 1876. When do you think it will break even? I heard that the borrowers have 1.1 days to cover. Does this have a factor in shooting it up? Okay, so a couple things there. First, I'll go over the days to cover. So, days to cover doesn't mean that they have to cover. When you see that days to cover number, what it's telling you is if every single person that short this stock wanted to cover right now, okay, so if they all wanted to cover right now, based on the average volume for this stock and where the volume's at, it would take them 1.1 days to cover, but it doesn't mean that they have to. That's what that number means. I know sometimes, people look at it and it's like, oh, they got 3 days to cover. That means the squeeze is going to happen within 3 days or whatever. But that all that means is based on volume, based on, the current price action, the short volume, everything else, the amount of retail, like all those other things that basically, they have 1.1. It would take them 1.1 days to cover everything. Um, and so, the higher the volume, the lower that number is, right? So CLOV right now has been in these higher volume days. So that means that, and I had mentioned this even last Tuesday on the stream, we saw 700 million volume in that day. And so in a day with 700 million volume, the shorts could have covered that day. They could have. They didn't because we've been looking at the Ortex data and looking at eyeball desk, and we can see that the shares still haven't been returned. So we know that they didn't cover. But when the higher the volume day, the easier it would be for shorts to get in and cover without us noticing, right? And so the lower volume, I guess, the longer it would take them to cover. Um, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to cover in 1 day or 3 days or whatever. So, CLOV at 1876. When when do I think it'll break even? Well, so there's the whole potential for this gamma squeeze this week, right? And even though the potential exists, it doesn't mean it's going to happen because you do have these market makers that wrote the naked calls and also people who are short the stock that absolutely realize that the potential for a gamma squeeze exists, and they're going to do whatever they can to suppress the price so that we can't get the gamma squeeze, right? So we absolutely need more retail buy-in, and we need to push this price, continue to get it higher. Yesterday we were able to hit 16. So far today we were only able to get to 1550. I'm not saying we're done. I mean, if you look at yesterday, we kind of saw 1450 and 1450 top, and then started coming down. If this was, let me just bring this back. If you look at this from yesterday's point of view, if we were sitting right here, we saw this 1450 top and started bottoming out, you might have thought that, okay, that's going to be the high of the day, and that very well could be what we're seeing right now. Where we got up here, hit a high of the day, now we're falling down, then we rebound and go make new highs. And if that is to happen, if we get back to your 1876, I know I'm kind of talking in circles now, but if we get back to your 1876 this week, don't worry, you're going to end up seeing $40 a share. That's my belief. I think that's going to kick off the gamma squeeze. But if it doesn't happen this week, just know that it's because there's a lot of pressure on these market makers and shorts to suppress the price this week because of all these options expiring. But that doesn't mean that this stock still has momentum. We're still trading at high volume. Right now, we're trading at double the volume of, I think, CLOV's normal average volume. So there's still a ton of momentum in this stock, but we are up against some big players right now. We just need our own big players to come in and push this price for us. AMC 62.28. Yeah, it looks like it's maybe, oh no, it's still ripping. Looks like BlackBerry's consolidating right now and then looking to make a run too. So yeah, AMC's up to 63 now. Hey, that's awesome, man. It looks like you're having a pretty decent day then. So AMC, CLOV or BNGO, I guess, is kind of where we at on the day. 2% loss after the type of gains you've seen recently. All good. And BlackBerry looks like it's moving up too. So, hey, not a bad four to be in right now, right? Especially today. You know, I know my mind that this GameStop right now is killing me over the last couple of days. I really need to see this get back or make the decision to roll my options out a little further. Um, so, Trevor, I hope I answered your question. Um, I think you'll be fine if you have the opportunity to average down and grab more. That'll just help you, you know, in terms of how soon you'll be able to break even. But if you don't, you know, sitting at 1876 with CLOV right now, I think you'll do just fine. This stock, I think, is worth anywhere from 20 to 27. Those aren't my predictions. Those are numbers that I got from another user of the subreddit that wrote some amazing DD that I ended up interviewing him about, and I just made a video about it yesterday. If you haven't checked it out, basically explaining how he came up with that number and you know why this stock you know should be valued in kind of that 20 to 27 range, and that's not even including you know its potential for the future. That's just saying right now this stock should be at $20 to $27. You know, so a lot of room for growth in this stock for the long term potential. If you're in for the short term and you're in for the squeeze or you're in for the gamma squeeze, you know, obviously those things, you know, with the hype we got right now, it's very possible for the gamma squeeze to happen, but it might not. The short squeeze might take a lot longer. Okay, so the short squeeze, if you look at, you know, kind of AMC, GameStop, you know, those are the two biggest names. A lot of people have been in those stocks for almost 6 months. You know, and while they've seen their peaks, and you know, and they've come down, and it's been a very volatile situation. You know, that could end up being what happens with CLOV in terms of a short squeeze, where you know we might go back up to 40 this week, and no shorts cover still, and then so we fall back down, but then find a new floor at 20. You know, and then the next week we go back to 30, come back to 20, and then shoot back, then create a new high of 60. So, you know, it's really hard to say. I have no idea. I'm just throwing out, you know, random stuff right now about what could happen. But I guess what I'm getting at is squeezes could take a long time. It's not something, but it also could happen, you know, within a couple of days too if we get the right momentum. So anything's possible. Okay. All right, so you probably must have saw the video when I was talking about getting in on the BlackBerry and the AMC calls. Man, that's awesome. If you did and you got in on that day, that's awesome. That was amazing. Um, I mean that I couldn't have timed that better. Anyone who wasn't familiar, so I don't know. I had this feeling. I was looking around like, man, all these meme stocks are gonna pop off. And so that morning I bought AMC $73 calls, I think Blackberries and some other, you know, the Nokia one didn't work out. But even in the video I said I don't really feel right about Nokia, but I'm gonna buy it anyways just because that was one of the OG memes. And Nokia didn't pan out at all. I haven't even been watching Nokia. Maybe it is going up now. But man, that AMC, that was like catching lightning in a bottle. Like, you know, the day that I jumped back in AMC was the day it ran up 100%. Um, so I actually got out of that one, sold it for a huge profit, and then I bought back in for the weeklies in case it kept going up, and I ended up just donating some money back. But overall, that was a great trade. Looks like GameStop just got hit through that support level of 220. That's not good. I'm hoping it'll get some get back right here and close this candle above 220. Let me see. Does anyone know if there was any news on that? No? don't see any. I don't see any news on that either. Okay. All right here. Well, it looks like everything's going red though. What's going on? BlackBerry just started going down. Um, the S&P 500 isn't. You know what? So in this last 5 minute candle, the SPY dropped a little bit. That could be it. Let me see if I can pull this up on a watch list too and just kind of see what the whole market's looking like. I'm still learning how to use this. Still learning how to use this trading view. But if you look at, it's got all these, like the SPY looks like it's down today. Let me see, just to get an idea where the market's at. SPY's down 0.2%, NASDAQ 0.4%, Dow Jones 0.3%. Those are, I know that doesn't sound significant. Like when you guys look at, other stocks, it's like you're used to having like a 3% negative day or a 2% negative day. And so you look at like, well, so the SPY's only down 0.2, that's nothing. Well, with the S&P 500, that usually is. So, a 1%, what I've noticed at least, if the S&P 500 loses 1% on the day, most of the stocks will lose anywhere from 3% to about 10%. So 1% in the SPY is pretty significant. Um, and same thing with some of these other ones. So it does look like the S&P is kind of falling a little bit. So it might be a red day for the market overall. But sometimes these memes don't trade with the market. So while we might pull down when the S&P 500 is going down, then we find our base and we bounce back up, which right now this 1450 as a base would be absolutely amazing. We've been holding 1350 the last 2 days. If we can hold 1450 here and kind of make that our new bottom, that would be amazing. Um, yeah, that is it. All right, let's see here. Yeah, CLOV got smeared via Motley Fool and Bank of America. They are scared of money. Well, Bank of America, and I could be absolutely wrong, but I know there was one when I was reading that actually had a short position in CLOV, which is absolute bullshit that they could turn around and then release information like that. Like go establish a short position. I don't think it was Bank of America though. It might have been, maybe it was one of those banks that recently just downgraded CLOV. It's like they have an open short position in the stock and then they go out and release something. I mean, it seems like, if analysts are allowed that grade and put price targets on stocks are allowed to have open positions in them, how could you, try to say that something like Reddit or anything else is market manipulation? Um, yeah, S&P is down a little bit. Watched AMC run that day, never witnessed that before. So that was like, that was the options chain taking over. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure some shorts actually covered in the middle of that. And I'm sure, that was also some retail kind of FOMO buying in. But that was a gamma squeeze, and that was the option chain getting blown out. The option chain that day ended at about 73, and I think that's what we stopped at. And if you look at, CLOV on last Tuesday, if you were watching it, on that day, the option chain ended at $22. And, we kind of ran out of gas right past there and got sawed off at 25. So, I mean, these gamma squeezes don't happen often, but I have witnessed, I think quite a few within the last 6 months. And I'm just going to be honest. Um, I've seen this happen prior to the last 6 months, but I had never heard the term gamma squeeze prior to, being invested in GameStop. I don't know if like somebody on Wall Street Bets coined the phrase or something, but, I had never heard the term gamma squeeze. Um, but I like it. You know, and I'm starting to be able to identify when there's potential for them, and they don't always pan out. You know, there's a difference between, you know, saying something's going to happen or saying something has the potential. You know, and I think, but you know, being able to identify that potential and being able to see, you know, when there's an opportunity there is a little bit better, right? Because now, you know, with CLOV at least, potential's there. If it doesn't happen, this is still a good long term play. This is still a good squeeze play. Let's see. It was Bank of America. Okay. And is that who we were just talking about here too? Yeah, Bank of America. Okay. There we go. Yeah, and they had short position in the stock. You know, it's just I don't get that. You know, but then you look at the talking heads on TV, you know, and they want to talk about how this Reddit army is ruining the stock market and they're in collusion and all this other kind of shit, you know, and not talk about how these big banks and big people who own the media and they're able to put out whatever information they want, they have short positions in the stock and they tell you to sell, you know, or they have long positions in the stock and they're telling you to buy. It's the same thing. You know, if they already established a position and they're going out and disseminating information to millions of people, of course they're going to move the stock. You know, I mean, so if that isn't market manipulation, I don't know what is. Um, and I've even seen where, you know, you have kind of these people go on TV and tell people that you know a stock is going to fall, and you know I'm you know I think this stock is no good, and blah blah blah, and basically they have puts on it, so now it falls, and now when it falls, they make money off the puts, and then they go get in on that stock because they knew that the stock was going to end up doing good down the road, so they drive the price down, make money on the way down, through manipulating the market and telling everybody else to short it, and then they buy in at the lowest point, and now they set themselves up good for a long position. I mean, the manipulation taking place in the market is unreal. It makes it comical for them to even say that retail investors who don't have anywhere near the amount of money that these other the millions that these other people are investing, and to say that this is market manipulation. It's unbelievable. MACD for CLOV about to bounce. Yeah, I turned the MACD off. Let me see. How do I get these back on? Indicators. Oh, let me make sure I'm clicked on this. Indicators. I'm still learning how to use the software. So one thing about MACD too, like on this one, it's still showing it red. But it's it all depends on what time frame too, right? So if I turn this on a 1 minute, the 1 minute MACD, yeah, 1 minute MACD just crossed over, so it just went green. So maybe that's what I'm assuming that's what you were talking about. And sometimes I think 1 minute charts, can be, obviously, indicator wise, you're going to get more information out of them. And when I day trade, or when I'm actually sitting here trading and trying to look for entry and exit points in the stock, a lot of times I'll always have the 1 minute on. The only reason I've been leaving the 5 minute up for like doing this stream is because I'm not actually looking to jump in and out of anything right now, and it's a lot easier to identify, like, I guess on a slower scale. Like, so if I'm sitting here talking and then all of a sudden I look and it's like, okay, we're up, as opposed to seeing that crazy price action. So let's see. Got clobbered on CLOV though. I'm not sure what you mean there. Am I missing one of the other comments? Let's see. How to use the MACD. So these indicators are delayed. I should tell you that. So I mean, really, if you like, I think that starting with a couple indicators, if you wanted to get into trading, whether it be swing trading or day trading, I would start with maybe RSI. Start with a MACD. But really, you want to be able to use moving averages, and I don't have any up here right now. Um, but moving averages are more telling than anything. But in terms of these indicators, they're delayed. They're based on the candles. So once you kind of learn to read the candles a little more, you don't necessarily need them as much. Um, RSI is always a good one because it shows you if something's overbought or oversold. Like right now, CLOV is still trading below 50, which is more bearish, like more oversold. That means the momentum, isn't necessarily there right now. But once a stock gets down below 30, that means it's grossly like oversold and a good buying opportunity, basically. And then same thing when we get above 70, that means the stock is way overbought. And a lot of times when you see a stock get over 70, like we did yesterday around here, you'll see a pullback before you continue to run, because the stock is overbought and needs to kind of cool off a little bit. So MACD, on the other hand, let me see if I can make this bigger. Yeah, I don't know how to make it bigger. I'm still learning on this trading view, like how it works and stuff. I know there's got to be a way to do it. Oh, there we go. So the way that the MACD works, um, it's got these two lines. The blue line is more. It's kind of like moving averages, like the same thing. So when they cross over, that kind of gives us more of a bullish sentiment, and it also takes into consideration volume as well. And that's why, like, if you zoom out, you'll kind of see it. As I zoom out, like long term, you could see down here when it's green and a lot really green. That means we're moving up, and then we'll cross over into this red zone below, and that's when we're dipping. And so it is. It's delayed information though, right? I mean, by the time this ends up, let's say, breaking through VWAP, we may still be on red. But what it could do is also tell you that we're looking to change to reverse the trend. So right now we had 3 red bars in a row on the 5 minute, and now it went white, which is kind of showing us that, maybe it's looking to reverse and go positive now. But yeah, MACD, now on a 1 minute, MACD can be a lot more telling. So on a 1 minute, this would have triggered us, what, at 7, so 5 minutes ago, that, okay, this has gone bullish. And then if you look back even further, the last red bar was at 725, and then it started going, the white started minimizing, which is usually shows that it's getting ready to turn over. So, on a 1 minute, you can kind of get those indicators where they're not as delayed. You can see that the true crossover was back here on the 1 minute, and then we also look like we crossed the RSI on the 1 minute at 739 just now. So, 1 minutes usually are a little bit more telling. They kind of keep us up to date faster, in what's happening. Um, and I could probably even keep the 1 minute up too if you guys would rather see it. I don't really care. I mean, I'm used to looking at the 1 minute chart on everything I look at anyways when I trade. Um, yeah, we can keep this up for a while and see how it goes. I mean, I hope that answered your question too about the MACD. I know sometimes I just start talking and I ramble and I forget what the original question was until I just look back at the comment. Uh, I'm extremely skeptical of anything on CNBC. Yeah, and I think we should be on almost everything, right? Anything, and you guys should be skeptical on what I'm telling you. You don't know me. Um, but honestly, you got these paid people on CNBC, and a lot of those broadcast companies and stations. I mean, they have their own special interests, right? Not only are they getting paid by advertisers, but they have people who own shares, extremely significant shares in their companies. The people that own those companies rub shoulders with other people, big billionaires and stuff, and they control the media, so they control the narrative. And I think we've been seeing a lot of that in the financial markets lately. Especially how they're trying to paint the retail investor out to be the scapegoat in this whole thing. And what I think is truly happening is You know, if some of the theories that people have are correct, which I tend to believe in, that, with all these heavily shorted stocks and the naked shorts that are out there, all it's going to take is one. So if that may be AMC, or maybe it's GameStop, or maybe it's CLOV, that truly gets into short squeeze territory, and where these people have to cover. And as soon as one hedge fund or one shorter, because it doesn't have to be a hedge fund, that's just kind of the term that everyone's been using over the last 6 months. But as soon as somebody covers, and has to and gets forced to, it's going to drive the price higher and force all these other ones to cover. And as people start getting margin called or liquidated, we're going to see the reverse effect in the S&P 500, or the markets as a whole. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Speculation wise. I mean, if any three of these squeezes ends up really doing what people are saying they could do, and getting to some ridiculous numbers and causing liquidations, well, what happens when $1 billion investment firm has to liquidate all their positions? Yeah, they have to liquidate their and cover their short position, let's say in CLOV, but they're also going to have to sell off stocks that they own around the market. And so if something like that was to happen, where GameStop, which I believe, you know, ends up and goes and surpasses that 480 mark, and maybe gets to 1,000 or something. I mean, and then people start getting liquidated. I think we're going to see the reverse effect in the rest of the market. I think these highly shorted stocks are going to go up, and simultaneously, a lot of these other like normally safe stocks are going to drop, because that's where these big hedge funds and stuff are going to be selling their positions out of. And I could be absolutely wrong, but that kind of is the speculation right now. And I think that the media, just to further get to your point, is almost setting up for that, right? So when that happens, now they can blame it on retail investors. Look what they did to the markets. Look how they ruined the markets, type of deal. Um, Not on these greedy people that basically got themselves into over shorted positions and naked shorts and illegal manipulation tactics, and basically, um, have no intention on ever covering. All right, that's my rant for today. If you are new to the stream, you know, um, absolutely hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying this. That way you get notified when I get back on live. I should be coming on again today at 12. And probably for the rest of the week. I think the only day right now that I might have a conflict with is Friday in terms of doing Power Hour. But I absolutely will be on for the rest of the week, every day from 6 to 8. And right now, my intention is every day from 12 to 1 for Power Hour. So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. That way you get notified. If you are enjoying the channel, hit the like button. And if you hate it, I don't know why you're here, but let me know by hitting dislike. um, See, sometimes I get caught up watching these 1 minute candles and I feel like it's a 5. So 1 minute candles, the other reason why I like to I'm going to put the 5 back on. And the reason is, when you're sitting here watching the stock, sometimes I feel like it's unhealthy to watch a 1 minute candle too, just because if we're not looking to trade, you could see some crazy stuff in a 1 minute where it's like red, 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 and you start panicking, but you got to realize, this happens a lot in some of these. This might go, red, 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 green, and then pull back up, and that. So I'm going to keep these up right now. Let me see. I'll keep this MACD on, but turn it a little bit lower. There we go. Okay, she kind of FOMO'd in on CLOV and got in too high. I don't think that, I could imagine over between the last week, you could have got in as high as, I guess, 28 or 25 or something. But, you know, um, I think we're coming back to get you. I truly believe that. I don't think you're going to be sitting there too long. Um, you know, and you know, you can always add more to average down. I don't want to tell you what to do, but that's one way of kind of adjusting whatever your price may be. So, you know, like let's say you got in at 25 and right now we're trading at 15. You know, if you could double your position from here, that'll bring you down to a $20 price average, which means you now only need a $5 move to break even. So I don't know where your price is though. You know, and I think this stock is still, you know, undervalued for where it should be trading at right now. So this stock should be trading in the $20 to $27 range, and I think that's one thing that kind of sets CLOV apart from, you know, some of the other squeeze plays. Is right now it's still undervalued. You know, um, I don't, and I'm a big GameStop. You know, I've been in GameStop for 6 months, and my outlook on GameStop hasn't changed. But you know, you can't say the same about GameStop. You can't say the same about AMC. And that doesn't mean that I'm hating on those. I'm not doing nothing with my GameStop position. But you know, GameStop's current price right now is based on speculation, right? Um, you know, this is all speculative pricing, which I believe in. I believe that GameStop within the next 3 years is going to be a $400, $500 a share company as long as they don't dilute anymore. Because they're pivoting and they're getting into e-commerce and technology and crypto, NFT type stuff. I mean, there's so much potential there that I think that this is speculative pricing here, but this stock could be trading, you know, in the $400, $500 range in the future. That's where I see GameStop. That's why I'm willing to still hold at this position. Um, you know, and again, I'm not hating on AMC at all. I'm happy for anyone that's in AMC, but same thing, you know, AMC at $62 a share. I don't think, you know, that's speculative or based on it being undervalued right now. That's just buying in for um, the squeeze. And it may still squeeze, but that's why I'm not in it. I don't want to get in at 62 and then be a bag holder. But I think what's important to note, and what I'm saying is right now unique about CLOV is that, you know, CLOV trading at 1450 with squeeze potential, you're still getting in undervalued. You're still getting in lower than what this stock should be trading at. So, you know, this stock should be trading between 20 and 27. So anything below that is a steal. Anything below that right now is what it should be trading at today. That doesn't include speculation. You know, that doesn't include where this stock can be down the road and the future potential that it holds or the squeeze price. So, all right, let's see. What do we got here? Missed a bunch. So there we go. 350 shares at 16, riding it up. Good for you, man. You know, and you know, if you believe in it and you know, and you've got the extra capital, it's always nice to buy those dips. Sometimes you don't have the extra capital, and that's understandable too. I know I don't. I'm done buying the dips. I can't. I don't have any more to spend, so I'm in for the long haul. Now I'm just holding. Um, CLOV is holding strong at 1450 despite the shorts increasing their positions this morning. Yeah, you know, and I think that's what's important. You know, I talked about that earlier. That you know, the last 2 days we were holding this 1350, and I think you know, and we kind of closed in this 1450 range, and even closing in the 1450 range again today. You know, trading sideways is good. You know, it shows that we're consolidating. We don't want to drop, and obviously we'd like to go higher, but you know, holding this range is absolutely good. And I think that you know we're going to continue to see this pressure to keep us below 15. You know, we just need to get past it. We need more buys. We need more people to jump in and join with us. Let's see here. CLOV Love, absolutely. I do think it will level off 20s long term, but that won't be tomorrow. Yeah, are you talking about like a long term where the stock will kind of fall? I agree with. I mean, we have the potential for the squeeze. You know, for the gamma squeeze, I should say, this week. So we can absolutely see upwards of $40, $50 this week. But I get what you're saying in terms of leveling off. Yeah, I mean, like even if the gamma squeeze was to happen today and not trigger a short squeeze, then we'd probably see the same thing where like maybe it got up to 40 and then it's going to get hammered back down as Friday approaches because they want to get as many calls as they can out of the money. Next up, 1,000 subscribers. That would be great. I mean, I don't. I keep saying this and probably sound like a broken record, but my original intent when I started my channel wasn't to do any of this. It was just to kind of share my thoughts on some stocks that I was interested in with my friends. And so I sent this out to 10 or 15 people, and that's how many subscribers I had. And then it just kind of started taking off, and I'm very grateful that it has because I'm having fun doing this. If I wouldn't have got my subscriber count up to, like I think 100, I never would have even had the idea to live stream. I just figured, I like to talk. Let's start the live stream. I mean, and now it's really been taking off, and I feel very grateful, and I'm also very appreciative of everybody who's been coming on here and supporting and subscribing and just supporting me while I'm doing this. And I'm enjoying it. No dilution at CLOV. That's right. So that's the big thing with CLOV too is we don't have the threat of dilution. Now there is some, shares that I know come out of lockup if the stock trades above, I think $12.50 or $15 for a certain amount of days, but it has to like stay above those prices for, I think 30 days, somewhere around there. So that would be a little bit of dilution that could happen, but you'd be looking at least a month from now. And then the other one is the $30 range, where we need to be trading above $30 for 90 days to get some other shares out of lockup. So that's 3 months of trading above 30. And both those price points is why I say buying CLOV right now it's a steal, right? I mean, because you also have these institutional investors and kind of big time investors that got in on this stock, before it merged, and in pipe deals and other things that now they can't sell. We can't dilute this stock, until the stock is trading above these specified ranges for a long period of time. Which also helps us. Like I think that means that we do have some whales who will come in and kind of support this stock and keep it higher, right? I mean, it's in their interest to keep it higher. Let's see here. GME entry price point right now. I mean, for me personally, I think so. I think that in the grand scheme, I think it's kind of bottoming out. And I'll say this too, not to promote trading in GME or anything like that, but I made a video on T21 a while back. I think like 2 weeks ago, how the T21 works with GME and this whole theory that someone came out with on the Super Stonk subreddit. But that next T21 day is happening next week, so I think this 220 level, we're actually below that right now. I had thought 220 would be a support level, but I think this is about as low as GameStop is going to get in the short term. And I think it's going to hold this level. And when that next T21 drops next week, we're going to push back upwards to that 350 mark and try to bust through it. The big thing that's been happening with GameStop right now is, see, on a daily, we've hit major resistance at 350 twice now, right? Once in March and once just recently in June. But these T21 days, and I don't have the dates. If you go back and watch that video that I made, basically every 21 days we're getting these huge spikes. The last one I think was somewhere around here, and that's what started this run up. And so I think next week we're going to see that next T21, and that'll start another run up again. And one of these run ups is going to get us through 350, which is really going to, again, I know I brought this up yesterday, AMC, when you zoom in, that's how GameStop's chart looks now, right? The big difference for AMC was they were hitting this resistance level of $15, and they were able to bust through it. So at some point when GME is able to bust through, I think we're going to see this. So to put that into perspective, uh, all-time high from back in January for AMC looks like a blip on the chart now, but that was 20, and it went more than 3 times that amount. So now if we're able to see that with GameStop, um, what would that put us at? About 1,500 a share. So that's what I'm expecting at least. So I think this is a good entry point right now. You'd be much better off getting in now than if you would have got in last week when it was trading at 300. Um, but I know it's more expensive than a lot of other stocks, and I think that's why a lot of other stocks have become popular, over time, with all these squeeze plays and stuff. And I think that's what CLOV has going for it too, right? It's right now it's the cheapest, but um, really when you look at stocks, any stock, and I'm not just talking about CLOV or GameStop right now, it's more about percentage gains and what you think you're able to do. So, for me, if you're looking at, if this thing kicks off and maybe it can have a $1,500 price tag on it shortly, that's 7 times from this entry point, right? CLOV, I think, has the potential to probably run up just off the gamma squeeze this week. Um, you know, let's say upwards of like $50. So that'll give you about 4 times your money just off the gamma squeeze. And then a short squeeze would happen, which would get us even higher. But the problem is with these short squeezes, I mean, no one knows how high it's going to go. And, all we know is that the shorts are still in the stock and they haven't covered yet. Um, so I don't know if GameStop's gonna hit 1,500. I'm just using AMC as an example of, past that January high and went 3 times January. So that being said, I think any of these stocks that are highly shorted probably have the potential to do that as well. Um, CLOV went 6 times its market cap last week. Yeah. So market cap, for anyone who's not familiar, maybe new to the stock market, basically what that is you take the number of shares that are out there and multiply it by the share price. So yeah, so when is that right? 6 times the market cap? Oh, you're saying it traded at 6 times the market cap, maybe. Yeah, our last Tuesday, I think our volume was 7 times, 7 times even. So yeah, we had some high volume days, and I think the other important thing, if you came in here late, that I pointed out was, and I'll get us back to CLOV right now too, is that even though volume is dropping off, it's still higher than CLOV's average, right? So, and I'll get back because it looks like we're moving on some of these stocks, but and what I mean by that is, if you look here, um, CLOV's average volume. No, that ain't right. Oh, that's on a 10-day. That's hella off. It's saying that the average volume for CLOV on 10 days is 173. The average volume for CLOV prior to the last week was somewhere around, I think, like 9 to 10 million. So trading right now, where we're still at 21 million, we're doing almost 3 times the average. So the volume's still here on this stock. Squeeze aside, I think it's a high $20 to $30 stock. What I meant, sorry. Oh yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, and I agree with you 100%, 100%. You got it. Catalyst away from explosion. I agree with that too. The gamma squeeze could be the catalyst that gets the short squeeze kicked off. But even if not, one thing that I think could be coming at any time is like a SEC or DOJ announcement of, like what happened with the investigation, maybe that they didn't find anything, something like that. That could get people to jump in too. And this company always has potential to, make new announcements about like, who they're partnering with, new contracts that they bring in, that sort of stuff. We actually, one thing that I think kind of got brushed over last week was you know, the new contracts that they came up with Upland Health. And I mean, normally that should have served as a catalyst. But the problem right now with all these stocks is if you look at, and this I think goes back to the whole mainstream media and stuff and how they're trying to suppress these stocks, what I believe. So when I look at the headlines for CLOV, social buzz, clean energy, social buzz, Wall Street bet, social buzz, clean energy, uh, you know, social buzz. So like I don't give a shit about social buzz. I want to see now. Look, I go seven stories down, and there you go. Clover Health taps Upward Health to provide home care services for its patients in 4 states. That's the type of news I want to see when I click on the news ticker. I don't want to see all this other crap. If I wanted to read about GameStop, I'd be on the GameStop ticker. You know, if I wanted to read about, you know, clean energy, I'd be on their ticker. But one thing that I have noticed since January is they're flooding the newsreels of these stocks, and you can't even get information about them. What do we got? Just bought 100 more clove. Nice, nice. Chelsea Clinton's on the board of directors. Absolutely. Let's see. How to play T21. So, I mean, I don't know. There's this theory out there, and like I said, watch this video later after the stream. It's. I think I put it out like 3 weeks ago, maybe. Explaining, but some dude on Super Stonk did some really good DD, basically saying that, you know, at the end of the major options chain, you know, way back in January, I think when GME ran up, there was all these options that expired in the money, and all these naked call riders didn't actually deliver the shares, so they failed to deliver them. So what they did was, for some dumbass reason, the clearinghouse gives them 21 days to deliver these shares that they didn't have. You know, you'd think it'd have to be like 1 day, right? Like, hey, you wrote this call contract, deliver your damn shares. But no, they give them 21 days. So now they basically get to kick the can down the road 21 days. So 21 days from that option's expiration, or not even from that expiration, but from the failure to deliver date, which is 2 days later, they get 21 days to deliver these shares. And now they come in and deliver those shares 21 days later. The stock spikes, which now creates a new options disaster where there's now a bunch of new stocks that are options that are in the money that they get failure to deliver, right? So now you go 2 more days out, they get failure to deliver. 21 days later, all these stocks need to be borrowed. So they're just kicking the can down the road. And so far, this dude's thesis has been spot on, that on all these T21 days, GME pops. And not only does it pop, but it kind of continues on a run. So, you know, I mean, yeah, like I said, I think right now, knowing that T21 is right around the corner, on I think it's next Monday. I want to say it's either the 21st or the 24th, but it's next week. Okay, so this T21 is coming up next week for sure. Also, you know, GameStop just did another at the money offering last week after their earnings report for 5 million shares, which means they get to sell shares at any point with these elevated stock prices. The assumption is that they sold, you know, when the stock was up here closer to like the $300 range and really made some good cash for the company. And so as soon as they announced that they completed that at the money offering, that should also be a good catalyst to see GameStop rally. So I think GameStop's a good entry point right now because this stock should move higher a little bit this week, a lot next week. Stock splits don't show up on chart history. I don't believe so. Yeah, so when you kind of like, you know, really zoom out, let's say you look at like a Tesla or something like that, you know, where they've split the stock, it won't show up on there. Market cap was 1.2, now it's 5.9. Okay, so you were talking about the market cap. I thought you were talking about volume. My bad. My bad. Let me see. So we are getting near the end. I know I'm supposed to go. I'm a little bit over, mean, I don't mind. I ain't got nothing else to do, but I am gonna sign off here in a little bit just because I got some errands I gotta run and stuff. But one thing that's interesting that I just noticed is like yesterday, right around this time, is when we went on our run up too, right? I want to say it was like right when I was getting ready to sign off is when we started running. So you know that could be something to maybe even look forward to if we keep getting kind of hammered down early. You know, it seems like we're getting some. That's 2 days in a row now. You know, just looking around. So, CLOV, we're actually up on the day right now, right? 2%. GameStop's down 5%. BNGO's down 3. AVXL down 15. I think AVXL. I'm not saying, you know, like I said, I opened this little position here yesterday, but I'm gonna wait. I have a buddy of mine, like I said, he's gonna try to jump on here with us one day and really talk about this stock and where it's going. But if you are looking for something to jump into, um, you know, I know we're trading about $3 higher than we were the other day, but this could be our little consolidation, just like we saw with CLOV, where this thing might be looking to rally now. And I've seen some pretty interesting price targets. You know, analysts price targets at 35 and even 25 recently. But also, you know, on the long term, people are saying this is a stock that's going to be trading ridiculously high. I mean, I've seen some absolutely insane numbers posted. You know, but when you kind of hear more about what the company does, you know, maybe we'll get a better understanding about it. Um, you know, hoping GME kind of holds the support level, starts its rally, especially for my 250 calls. I can't say that enough. And then CLOV, you know, I'm assuming we're gonna go up and test this 1550. If we're able to blow through it, I would expect major resistance at 16. If we break through that 16, yeah, things might get exciting. We might start looking at gamma squeeze, you know, coming in. But I think we got to get past 18 to really kick it off. And if that doesn't happen today, you know, we just want to set ourselves up for it, right? If we can close above 15 today and establish like a new range, maybe in the 1550 range, and show that this stock is ready to start moving upwards, um, that might set us up for tomorrow. God. I get the feeling if we can close around 16, that after hours and pre-market tomorrow could position us. Yeah, that too, right? I mean, we've had some great after hours activity and pre-market activity, like at the end of last week or even early last week. You know, so um, you know, if we can push this stock up today and close a little bit higher, maybe that'll even get some people jumping in. You know, opening their positions in after hours today and in pre-market. But we really want to get within striking distance of that $18 mark for tomorrow, so we can try to kick this gamma squeeze off. Um, so, you know, I think that's it for today. I'm going to sign off. But if you're new to the stream, hit the subscribe button. I'll be doing this every day from 6 to 8. You know, sometimes I'll run over a little bit. And I will be back on for Power Hour today for sure. I'll try to do Power Hour as much every day as I can. So if you subscribe, so turn on your notifications. And that way you'll get notified, you know, when I set up the stream for whether it be the morning one or the Power Hour one. Thank you again for the support. I appreciate it. Um, you know, and yeah, we'll be back. I'll see you guys at 12 o'clock. If you're free, come join me at 12 o'clock. Hopefully, we'll see the stock trading, you know, upwards of $16, or maybe even the squeeze will be kicking off. I'll tell you guys this much: I'm gonna be running errands and doing stuff at home today. If we see this thing past 1850, turn your notifications on because I'm probably gonna jump back on live, just because I'll be too excited to be able to be sitting here watching it by myself. Uh, so make sure you turn the notifications on because if we look like we're about to push 1850, which is the point I think this gamma squeeze is really gonna roll, I'll be jumping back on for sure. So yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support. I'll see you guys later. I didn't realize I still had this one on here. I'm still learning how to do all this too. This is only my second week streaming. All right, take it easy. I'll see you guys at 12.